Welcome back to Lesson 4. I hope you had a chance to listen to those great tunes on the playlist from Lesson 3A. I also want to point out that if you're playing those chords from Lesson 3 and you're finding that your fingers are hurting at the ends, there might be a couple of reasons why, so I'm going to create a real short video for a couple things to watch out for, and if they are hurting, how some changes you can make that could relieve that for you. So that'll be coming up next. Right now, I want to cover moving us into playing songs. Songs to be accompanied on the guitar really have 4 elements to them. So the first one is you need a chord vocabulary, which you already have begun to start your chord vocabulary. You have the G, E minor, C, and D chord under construction of some sort. You started it and you're at some level now, and you'll keep going with those until they're playing the way you want them to. The second part of it, which we're going to cover today, is you need to be able to change between chords. And you actually need to be able to change eventually between any chord whatever and chord whatever. And that will open up a lot of opportunities for songs. Today, we're just going to change between the E minor and the D, using the introduction from Heart of Gold that we played a couple of lessons ago. The third and fourth ones, and it's circular, so we're going, as you play over years and years, the circle goes around, you keep adding more chord vocabulary, you keep working on changing between chords, and these third and fourth ones definitely are more advanced levels. You start to change chords in the correct timing so you can create a pulse. So when the chord changes and the right hand's working together, now I can play a chord, so I have some vocabulary. I can change between chords. In this case, I'm playing 2 chords that you haven't seen yet because it's not part of what we're going to be playing today. I just want to demonstrate the timing issue. So I'm going to go. So I'm changing the chords in conjunction with my right hand and creating a pulse and a rhythm out of that. That's a third element of being able to accompany yourself and other musicians on acoustic guitar. And the last one is ornamentation. There's other things that go between the chords, single notes such as the one we did in the very first lesson where we worked our way down the E string with that chromatic scale. So I'll show you an example of an ornament. So let me go to play the intro to Heart of Gold. There's an E minor, which you know that chord, and a D chord, back to E minor. That thing is an ornament. So those are single notes. Don't worry about them, we're not going to play them today, but you get the idea. So together, if you listen to the whole thing, so that ornaments with single notes in between the chords, and that's very common technique that adds a lot of flavor, a lot of interest to an acoustic guitar style song. So let's cover the first 2. Chord vocabulary. There are many chords. You now know 4 of them, which is a pretty great start. There's a lot of songs you can play with the 4 chords that you're working on. So we're going to say that that's step 1, for our sake, is accomplished. We're going to move to step 2. Like I said, we'll go around the circle over and over again in your lifetime as a guitar player and keep adding to each of those elements. But you can certainly get around that circle at least once with what you know right now in those 4 chords and wind up playing a song. So the second part is the changing of the chords. So we're going to change from E minor to D. I'm going to give you some advice about how I think that would be easiest to work out for you. I am not going to show you my right hand because I would prefer that you listen to it and see if you can, with your ear, decide what's going on there, what strings am I hitting, when am I hitting them, when am I going up, when am I going down, and then do your own thing with that. Like I said, you don't want to play the way I play, you want to play the way you play. But if you want to use mine as a starting point, that's fine, and just, I'd say listen to it. If I give it to you on visually on the camera, you might be tending to try to mimic it, and I don't think that's a fluid way to learn the right hand part of the guitar. So just use your ear for that part. On the left hand, we're going to play an E minor, and you may be at the point where you can just reach down and play it all at the same time with one movement, where both your second and third finger go into place correctly at the same time. Or you may be in the place where you're still having to put one down and the other one down and adjust a little bit, and that's fine too. But eventually, when we start this exercise, I'd like you to have a clean, nice E minor up on the 2nd fret of the fretboard. And then to go to the D, if you're going one string at a time, I would just release the E minor chord and put the first finger down, the second finger down, the third finger down, and make that triangle. If you're at the point where you can place the D minor notes, the D chord notes all at the same time, then do it that way. So if you can, I'll demonstrate each of those. So this is if I can do the chords all at the same time. So I'm playing E minor, then I go to D, back to E minor. What I want you to think about here is the timing of it. It should, if lower the tempo to the point where you can keep the timing consistent throughout that piece. So we don't want this. This will be the E minor played quickly. Then a long time to get to D. So that now the timing kind of fell apart there. So if you need to take some time to make the D chord, just slow the whole thing down, the whole tempo, so that you can, let's take a nice slow tempo and demonstrate that. So kept the timing in place, even just lowered the tempo. And then as you continue to do that and build muscle memory, you can start to play a little faster and get up to the normal speed of the song over time, no rush. Okay? If you're still fingering the chords one note at a time, then get your E minor in place one note at a time until you like it, and play it very slowly. Try to get your D in place within the tempo. Even if it takes you a little longer to get the D, the slower tempo will give you more time to grab the notes one at a time. So find the tempo that's working for you, and then over time it's going to get faster. Like a lot of things that you learn. You first learn them slowly until the muscle memory builds up, and then you put them up to concert speed, or the speed that the song was recorded in. And you kind of do that by ear. Based on listening to the song and seeing how fast you think it should be played. So I'm going to play the piece pretty much at the speed that it was recorded at by Neil Young, and see if you can see what the right hand is doing, because I'm certainly not hitting all the strings, all 6 of them at the same time, as we covered in earlier lessons, and I'm trying to match my timing to something close of what Heart of Gold sounds like in my ears. And I'll play it a couple times through with me fingering the chords simultaneously, so all coming down at the same time. So what I was doing there is demonstrating some of the things we talked about earlier. I demonstrated some pick dynamics where parts of the song were louder and parts were quieter, and that was done with the right hand. I muted the strings with my palm of my right hand. You might be making that kind of sound, which we've talked about before. And I did the ornament that we talked about. And I messed around with the timing of when the chords change a little bit of syncopation timing, which we haven't covered yet, but I figured if you listen to it, you'll start to get it in your ears, and you maybe just naturally might start to come out in your playing, if you like that style of moving the timing around past a straight 4 count. So those are some things to work on. So you're going to play E minor and D. You're going to try to play that intro of Heart of Gold. That's the piece where, if you're listening to the song and you sing, it goes, keeps me searching for a heart of gold. So you can sing that to yourself if you want, or hum it if that helps you put a melody on top of the chords. That's lesson 4. I'll see you next time. We're going to add a G and a C in there and start to play the verses into the chorus of this tune. Bye.